Morning. So, happy Sunday morning. It's cold up here in New England. It's supposed to warm up, but it was in the 20s this morning when I got up. I've got to replace the belt that got thrown off. If you guys didn't watch the video the other day, the boom, everything came to a stop video, watch that. It kind of explains what's going on. But I threw my drive belt off, and I gotta give you a mea culpa. So what this video is going to be about is we're going to put on a new drive belt. We're going to replace the idler belt too. We're going to tension this up to what we believe is the best, throw a band on it, make sure that our tracking and everything is good, and that something didn't go haywire with that. And we're going to finish off milling the two cants, this one and a sister one, and then I'm going to actually mill all the flitches too, just to kind of get myself ahead for the week coming up here on this this big fence board order. This should get me up over, I don't know, somewhere in the 120 range. I think I'll have 60 left to cut. So I'll grab a big log and see if I can get 60 out of one log. But this video is mainly about replacing this stuff. I do have to give a mea culpa on crapping on Norwood a little bit. The other day about the ceramic guides. There's a possibility that the couple of small problems that I've been having recently with the guides and them staying in adjustment and stuff is because my belts are worn. Now, the other day I did say that that belt, the drive belt, looked worn flat on the top. I'll show you guys. I'll take you around the other side. I think we'll do the idler pulley first just to get myself started off slow here. Got a brand new Wood Miser Silver Tip Turbo 7 waiting to go on. So on this belt, I was saying that, you know, it kind of looked flat and concave on the top, and there is some wear, but it didn't look excessive. And I still don't believe it looks excessive. Now, there is some grease on the band, on the belt, that came from me greasing those band wheels. Is there a possibility that that did something? I'm not sure. Also, I've been getting this big clunky noise from time to time out of the clutch. When I first hit the throttle, it kind of bangs into gear. And I'm not really sure why that's been happening. What I've been doing is I've been using brake clean to spray that thing out, make sure there's no sawdust buildup in there. And when I do that, it seems to operate smoothly at first, and then kind of like during the day goes back to when I hit the throttle, it kind of goes bang and knocks it into gear. Like one of those clutch shoes is kind of sticking. I'm not sure if that problem is going to remain or if I'm going to have to take that clutch apart or what. There's no play in it. There's no wear in it. But we're going to have to see if that situation resolves itself or if there's a bigger problem there. I'm not really sure how it's going to work out yet. But the way this is going to go is I'm going to replace that belt on the idler pulley. I'm going to clean out and make sure there's no chunks of anything in there. I do see a couple of chunks of sap inside of the drive wheel. I'm going to take the chunks out first, and then we're going to put the new belt on that side. I'll tell you what I got for, what I'm using for tools. It doesn't take very much to do this. I think it's 24 millimeter for the big nut that's on the tension pulley. It's like 3/4 for the adjustment bolt. I think they're 9/16 on the other two. I'm almost pretty far out on my adjustment, so there's a possibility that I may change the orientation on that tension pulley. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how that goes. But I think some of my problems might have been, or may have been, that I'm getting some drive belt wear, and it's possible that these belts are kind of clunking around a little bit. There's a possibility that there's some junk behind this one. So we're going to take it off, we're going to just put the new one on. I can keep them both as backups because it looks to me like, let me get some coffee, like they're still both, it's not like they're broken. They're still functional, and I think would work in a pinch if I broke one of the other ones. But we're going to get at it. So somebody who hasn't done this before, I'm going to kind of try to get your view so you're not looking at my back the whole time. Not really sure where that best view is going to be, but we're going to do this one first. Maybe you got, not really sure yet. Let's see. How about this? Let's go from here, and I'll do my best to not get my back to you. So I haven't taken this off yet, so let's see if I can just pry a screwdriver in here and get it feeding off. Probably going to need to get it from the back side. Let's see if I can get I don't have two flatheads with me, so I'm going to get a Phillips head in here. Maybe I get a Phillips head from this side and then go with the flathead from the other side. If I can just get a piece of this off, I think I should be able just to feed it off. I kind of have this thing clamped in place on the, there we go, on the track. So hopefully it doesn't move around. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so we got this belt's off. Did have some buildup on the belt, but I don't believe that it's not in any way damaged. There's a possibility that, don't want to get out of frame here. There's a possibility that the belt's worn, you know, at an angle or something like that. You know, almost looking at it, almost looks like it is. So I think, and it doesn't look like there's much crown on it at all. So we're going to put the new one on. I'm going to at least try to put the new one on. I had ordered a service kit from Norwood. I'm going to back you up just a little bit, give you a better kind of more global view of this. And if I have to do something super important, I'll bring you in close. Just going to take a little bit of muscling. The having done tires, they're actually called, I know they're belts, but on a bandsaw they're called tires. Making sure putting tires on these can be challenging. Just making sure there's no humps in here, no buildup, no nothing. Doesn't look like there is. This one looks good. There is a kind of a procedure that can make this easier. It's not the most simple thing to get these on. Sometimes you can just go ahead and pry this on. Sometimes they're too stiff to do it. I'll show you kind of what I've always done. This would be easier if the wheel is off, but I don't want to. I want to see if I can do it without taking it off. Sometimes you can just you want to find your last point where you're kind of in. You can stick a clamp on it to hold it in the, like I said, this would be easier if it was off. I haven't thought this through very well for camera angles and crap like that. I don't know if that'll help or not. I can't really get my hands in there. And then the other, you can use two clamps. Just kind of to hold the tire in where, tire belt, whatever you want to call it, in where its last position, or in where it's last in, so to speak. So if we get this thing tightened down a little bit, it'd be great. And if you can get the clamps on it, it's kind of like holds it from backing up from this position. This clamp's bent, so it can't so it's in all the way to here and it can't back up any. It's almost like this clamp isn't working. There it goes. If you had this wheel off, you know what you can do is, as you get it in, you can kind of move your clamps around, but let's just do that for now so it can't like just jump out, and see if I can just pry it on the rest of the way. I don't want my back to you, so you can see in real time how this goes. Let's see if I can just kind of work my way in here. I'm going to get the furthest out section, I guess. The good part about these is that they're not super tight like a bandsaw one is in your shop. These have a little bit of slop in them. Just kind of want to work it in and then hold it in with your thumb. Oh, my bottom clamp came off. Hopefully I don't lose it. Oh, I'm almost there. There we go. Okay. I'll get these off. So that one's done. I'll get you a view over here when I do this one. This one's fairly simple because all we have to do is back off the idler and kind of snap the belt around it. But I got to get in and clean out the wheel first. This kind of threw a monkey wrench in my whole day the other day. And I just want to make sure that there's no chunks in here. And this does get chunks in it, so this is something that I clean from time to time. See this right here, I don't know if I can show you this chunk, but this would definitely cause, that was a big chunk of sap. And I want this thing, because I want to give this a good run, I want this thing perfectly clean. I don't want anything in here at all, because I'm wondering if that sap buildup causes that big kind of boom when it kicks in that I'm having. And I don't know if it's a clutch problem, or I do clean this from time to time, so this one is fairly clean. So there's nothing on the inside. Let's check the outside, just make sure I get all my chunks out. That sounds good. Full disclosure, I did have to adjust the tracking the other day. I know I'm out of frame. I apologize. I'll be back in a second. I did have to adjust my tracking the other day, and it kind of was a significant adjustment, which isn't normal. Don't normally have to do any significant adjustments. This time I did have to do a significant adjustment, and I'm wondering if it was some of this belt, if there was some belt wear, and that caused the problem. So the first thing you have to do to release the tension off of this, I want to make sure that's clean inside too, is to back this locking nut out a little bit. This is 24 millimeter. And that just takes, this bolt tightens down on the back bracket. So now this is free. So when you release the tension on this, it will move down. I probably can just back this down with my fingers here. Now I have been looking and looking and looking and looking for some sort of specs on how tight to adjust this belt, and I can't find any. I went back and watched Dave Boyd's video. I looked in the manuals. I've checked everything. I checked on Arbor's site, on the forestry forum. There is no good answer to how much tension to put on this idler. It's a tension pulley. There's no information on how much to put on it. So I'm not. My bearings sound good there. There's nothing on the inside. So I don't really know how much tension to put on it. I'm just going to have to kind of go by what I guess is my own assessment of how much tension to put on it. I guess that's the only way to explain it. What my best, I guess, educated guess is, I keep seeing, well, don't overtension this so you could cause premature wear. Well, I've had this a year. I've never replaced a belt, so I don't know what premature wear is. I don't know how long they should last. Trying to do this so I stay out of the camera's way, so I apologize for kind of being clumsy here. This goes up over that. I think I might have to get it on the clutch first and go maybe around the top. Maybe we can just roll it on. I'm going to come around your side quick. Get your view like this. Make sure you can see. Yep. All right. So I think I'm just going to try and see if I can just stay in there. Roll it around like this. All right. So that's in there. Now we can put some tension on it. And I'm sure this is going to have to be adjusted later too. So I'm sure this belt's going to stretch a little bit at some point, probably today. So I will have to keep an eye on the tension here. So this is a two-part process. What you do is you tension it up first, and then after you tension it up, kind of get it where you want it, you have to snug down this. So one thing I can tell you right now, and also you kind of want to, there's a lot of play in this right now because this is so loose. I'm going to want to tighten that down just a little bit rather than going at it with the impact gun. I'll just do it with a adjustable. Just want to kind of get it a little bit closer so it still moves, but it's not sloppy. So a little bit more. Still a little sloppy. I want it like just before it's tight, so it still moves, but it kind of stays in alignment. That's pretty good there. So now we should just be able to crank this thing out. No good way about doing it. Just going to roll it through from time to time. I know that on my other belt I was pretty far out. This is pretty loose here still. I'm going to kind of give you my best guess for what good tension is here. All Dave Boyd says is that it should be tight and this should spin freely. So this is definitely still too loose. Is there a chance that if this is over tight that that's causing this thing to clunk in? There is a chance of that. I think what you, in the manual, it says what you want to do basically is by trial and error, find out where it slips. In other words, you'd have your band slipping and go a little bit tighter. So it says it's trial and error. I can tell you that I'm not as tight as I was before. This does feel pretty tight though. And what I'm wondering is if this was too tight and it was kind of pulling on the clutch, putting too much side load on the clutch and maybe causing that clunking. So this is fairly tight. I know that Wood-Mizer has a gauge that you put on these to see how much under a certain amount of tension you can push this down. We don't have that here. I'm just going to go quick. I'm just going to go right there. So it still spins freely. It looks like that's, you will see if that's going to slip or not when we're running the band. And if it does, I know it's going to loosen up a little bit though. I probably should go just a little bit tighter on it. Again, this is like, you know, you're using kind of your judgment based on other things that you've done here. I can't make it slip there. I know that kind of seems kind of infantile, but we're going to crank this thing down. This lock nut on the tension pulley. So I think we're good to go. Now, there could be a lot of things going on here with that wear that could have caused what was going on. This distance between where the belt rides above the wheel itself could have shrunk. It could be worn so there was an angle on the belt. There could have been a lot of things. So it looks like we're good to go there. I'm going to pause you guys 1 second while I get my tools cleaned up, and we'll throw a band on this thing, and we'll end up making a cut with it. So I'm going to pause you. Now, there's a possibility that I've been over greasing these band wheels. I have had some grease buildup in here, and don't want a ton of grease just kind of flapping around in the breeze while inside here. So I think I'm going to just keep an eye on that and possibly slow my roll a little bit on greasing the band wheels. I don't think they necessarily need it every single time. You know, it says as part of maintenance, you should put a kind of squirt in there every time. I'm probably overdoing it until I see grease pouring out. Okay, we're going to tension up. We're going to see where our guides are. I mean, where our tracking is. There might need to be a tracking adjustment now, would be my guess. So I'm going to go ahead and tension up. I'll bring you in closer in a second when I see where the tracking is. Also, I did find conflicting information on, so that's for the start. Half 1, 2, half 3, half 4, half 5. I'm going to go ahead and spin it a little bit. I'm going to back it off and I'm going to retension. Oh. Okay, so there's definitely something going on with the tracking already. I can tell that right now. Oh, nope, kind of corrected itself. I'm going to retension this up. Tracking seems to be pretty close. But I am going to untension it and retension it because I don't trust what I'm getting for tension based on those belts kind of seating themselves and being brand new like this. So I want to get it to right. All right, so right there. Half 1, half 2, 3, half 4, half, 5 1/3. That's kind of what I do every time. I did find some conflicting information on tensioning this. Now, Norwood's literature, when I was looking through this morning trying to come up with how much tension should be on this belt, Norwood's literature says that you should tension it 6 full turns. Every video that I've seen is 5 and no more than 5. So I think I'm going extra at 5 1/3. I'm going to show you something. The old way of tensioning these used to be, if you look in here at the spring, you see a little bit of yellow sticking out in front of my finger. The old way of tensioning was that you tensioned it until that yellow part, the spring part, was flush with the edge of the knockout right here. That would be 6 full turns. But there are a lot of Norwood videos saying you should. There's a couple on adjusting these mills that some of the Norwood guys are saying 5 max, even less than 5 is okay. So I'm not really sure what to make of that. So I need an adjustment on this one. The bottom guides right now are touching the top. I have clearance. Also, another thing, I've always shown you guys I use the paper trick on the guides to give me 3/1000 clearance. Norwood's recommendations are 6,000, so 2 to 3 pieces of paper per guide. And I'm going to do that today. I want to just check right now, see how level my band. I gotta back off the guides first. And I'm going to see how level my band is right now. And I also got to get my tracking in on this side. It's out a little bit. Also, when you adjust your tracking on this wheel, what it does is it moves the wheel like this. Adjusting that tracking is going to affect the tension on this a little bit. And the tension, the amount of tension that you put on this band affects the tracking also. So if the tighter that you go on this, the more turns you go on this, the more these wheels are going to want to toe in and bend like this. So it does affect the tracking if you don't do the same tension every time. I'm going to roll it through a bunch of times because I want to. All right, so that side is definitely out too far. I'll show you that quick. I'll go around that side. So from how I've always run my tracking, which is trying to get this band centered, you want to get the edge of the gullets here flush with the face of the wheel. And both sides are out too much. This side's out this way too much. So I want to adjust this side so this side rolls in, because that side's the other side, the idler side's fairly close. So we're going to go in, which is clockwise. I'm going to go, based on what I'm seeing, I should go like a half turn, but I'm going to start with a quarter turn. And we'll roll it through some more. We want to go in the direction of cut. This should make it move in. We'll watch the tracking on the other side too to see if anything crazy happens. So it's still out a little bit too far. I'm going to go in a little more. Roll it through some more until I get it really close, and then I'll maybe adjust the other side. still out too far. Make sure I'm not hitting on my ceramic. Man, I'm getting really close. I'm going to just really quickly, I'm going to back off these ceramics so that I'm not putting some weird undue tension on them. See how that one popped down? Wow, this was way out of whack here. Push it down a little bit so it's not touching. Do the other side too. I don't want that affecting the tracking. This one, for some reason, just doesn't look like it was that bad. See if it pops down too. Yep. Wow, they will both way up. Okay, now I got clearance. Let's just check it. See what if that affects tracking at all. Like it was holding it. I still have some distance to my ceramic in the back, so I'm going to go in a little more on this one. It's not a lot more, but it's more. So there is a possibility that somehow, because those were messed up so bad that they caused that band to kick off too. I've made a lot of adjustment to this side. I don't trust the fact I still have clearance to the back ceramic quite a bit. I don't trust the fact that it's all in this wheel, so I'm going to do some adjustment to the other wheel. So I'm almost seeing that we had a huge tracking problem for whatever reason. This side, same thing. When we go clockwise, we're going to try and see if, because this sometimes will adjust. It'll have an effect on both sides. So one thing's for sure, it is rolling nice and freely. That moved the band quite a bit. That side's almost perfect now. So that, what I just did had an effect on it for sure. I use my wrench to check to see if I'm still out. You can check the backside. You kind of want the backside flush, and it's still in over here. I'm going to go in just a little bit more. Another quarter turn in on this side. Get a better view. I'm going to go another quarter turn in on this, and I think it'll be perfect. It's running nice and smooth right now. There's no binding. I think we had a significant tracking problem going on here. I think it kicked off because of it too. I don't know why it is. I didn't make any huge adjustments to it. It's still out too far. See if it'll go in a little more. Sometimes small adjustments are better. It doesn't surprise me that with new belts on that it needed to be adjusted. So what's happening right now is that it's moving. I got to see if my ceramics are holding me off. And I'm contacting my ceramic there. I'm going to want to push my ceramics back just a little bit. I'm gonna pause you guys 1 second. Got the ceramics that hold the band front to back are too tight to the band right now. I have to push them back a little bit. So I'm gonna, and it could have been maybe a band that had been ground a million times, and I adjusted my tracking to a band that was just smaller or something. I'm not sure what happened, but I adjusted my guides and all kinds of stuff last week, and I brought them out, and there's a chance that I did them to a smaller band, so it leads to another thing. You should always do this with a brand new band. So I'm going to pause you guys while I grab an Allen wrench. All right, so I'm going to have to climb around in here a little bit, but actually I'm going to raise this head up a little so I can get under it a little easier. We're going to adjust. In the backside behind this blade, there's a ceramic block on both of these. And what that does is it limits the amount that the blade can push backwards. And right now, I'm kind of contacting the one on this. And that can keep my tracking from going back. And there's a chance it's holding it off right now. And when I do adjust when I adjust this and get it off the back of the band, that this thing's going to go flinging backwards a mile. I don't want to spill my coffee. So we don't want to make a mistake in our tracking. So I'm going to just get that loose. There's a little Allen set screw on the back. Push that back just a little bit. You should have 16th to 1/8 inch clearance. Oh, so that's just right around a 16th right now. This one over here is a little harder to see. I kind of got to climb down underneath. I got to grab my flathead screwdriver so I can push it back. And hopefully when I do this band doesn't go flinging backwards when I roll it, and that they were holding it off. This one still has some clearance. This one has enough clearance right where it is. I don't have to adjust that side. So let's see if that was holding us. It still needs to go back. It's still not back far enough. I'm going to make a little bit of a tweak on this one. Pull it in. Okay, it moved a lot. It moved a lot there. And you can kind of, this doesn't have to be perfect. So right now, this side is pretty close to right. I kind of slide my finger down and see if I can feel it edging out, but I think it's pretty flush here. It's pretty close to flush on that side too. Make sure I still have good clearance. I still do have clearance there. I can see through it. So it looks like we're okay there. I'm just going to check them on this side. And it looks like they're in a pretty good spot right now. Gullets are pretty flush. Let's check the angle of the band. You want to do this with one of those small little Dave Boyd levels, but I have a magnetic one here. Just don't put it on a tooth like I just did. So right now the band, as far as what I'm seeing, is leaning up just a teeny bit. Both sides, it's leaning up like this. I don't want to track it back anymore. There's really nothing that I can do about that. Right where it's sitting on the track is leaning a little bit too, so that would cause that. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust these ceramics, get them right, and we'll be ready to cut. So we'll go through the procedure one more time. What we want to do, if I do this by Norwood's book, is now I'm going to fold the piece of paper over, actually go double thickness to see if this makes some difference in how often I have to do this. And put one in the top. I'll do it on both sides. Hopefully, oh yeah, I got a mile of clearance over there. Put this on the top. 2 thicknesses. Now I used to do 1. We're going to drop this top ceramic guide down on top of it. Right? Leave the paper in there. Tighten that one down. Just a little bit. I'll snug them all after too. This one's going to drop a lot. Okay. Don't want it to deflect the band, so don't push them down. Just let them drop down on the band. And now that gives you, and the reason that I start with the top is you can just let these drop down onto the band. If you did this the other way and did the bottom first, you would have to push the bottom up, and then you can deflect the band, and you don't want to deflect the band. So we'll do the bottoms now. Basically the way you do that, if you do have enough clearance like I do here, I'm just going to put the piece of paper in. We're going to loosen it, push it up against the band. This keeps the band from moving now because I have the paper in the top. So we just push it up against the band, just snug it up so it can't move. The other side, I think I have enough clearance to get paper in there. If you don't, you have to kind of loosen it, push the ceramic down. You don't want it to fall out. I'm going to have to loosen this one. It's not quite enough clearance there. So I can get it in there. Here we go. I'm just going to push it up against the band, snug it up so it can't move, kind of give them a little baby gronk. Pull these out. Now we have our clearances right. Up and down, up and down. And we're going to go full gronk on them. And again, what I've been finding is that the ceramics are not the thing that are moving. When these guides move, it's these blocks that are moving. And I've gronked the shit out of those, and I don't know what to do about that anymore. It's possible with sharpening bands and everything that I've been running into, or that the belt's worn. It could just be that the belt's worn. So we're going to kick this thing. I'm going to pause you guys and put it all back together, and we're going to make a cut and see what happens. Okay, I've got 2 cuts to make off the top of that to get it to a 6-inch wide piece, so I can cut 1x6s for what I have up here. We're going to make those 2 cuts really quick. This one's at 7 1/8, and then one's at 6 inches. Now I can tell you from what I just did, it changed my height. Those blocks have pushed up so much. I'm pushing that band up so much that I'm like a full 1/16 different than where I marked with the band where I marked that cant at the other day. So it's a big difference from where it was. Let's hope it cuts good, and I'll give you guys this view here. Just let it warm up. That cant is, just get my tape measure. Well, one of my tape measures, where find one. Get my tape measure out. I'll measure the width of this cut here. I'm missing a tape measure. So this is 16 inches wide. So let's go ahead and run it through and see how it goes, and I'll give you a look at the cut afterwards. We'll take a look and see how it does. We'll make the 2 cuts, back it up, shut it off. So right there, no big boom when I hit the throttle and it engaged the clutch. No boom at all, so that's good. So we're going to get these 2 planks off the mill. They cut laser straight. There's no waves in it at all. That's good. It did sound to me like it did when I entered in, like kind of like it bogged the band down just a little bit. I'm not sure if that's just the super aggressive Turbo 7s, or because they are pretty aggressive, or if that band was slipping a little bit. We're gonna pull the covers off real fast, and we're gonna see if our tracking changed. I'll scrape this off, show you the cut. Just give me 1 second. This is kind of stuff that you have to go through, I guess, when you're running a mill. It's wicked flat. Wicked flat, wicked smooth. There are zero waves in it, even around the knots. Cut really flat. Let's do this. Let's pull those covers off and see what our tracking looks like. I'll get you guys over here. See if that belt needs tightening, or probably just blow the rest of this cant out. 49 minutes, I got 10 minutes, so let's just see if the tracking's the same really quick. Nothing moved. If nothing moved, then we'll flip this can on its side and we'll go ahead and mill it out, and then we'll check it again. So tracking on this side looks good, didn't move. Tracking on this side looks good. Still got good clearance, so nothing moved. Man, it's so hard to tell. I think I'm going to need some more tension on that belt, but I'll do it at the end of everything today. I'll put a little bit more tension on that belt. I want to see if that bang comes back in the clutch. Right now it's not doing it, which leads me to believe it's either buildup inside the clutch or it had something to do with the worn belts or too much tension. So this is your check for clearance. Tick down, good. Tick up, good. Tick down, good. Tick up, good. That means that I got clearance both ways. So let's flip this canth on its side. I'm going to get you guys back over here so you can see speed of cut. These Turbo 7s can really fly. Didn't show you the plank. My hand in there for scale. There's like no saw marks in it at all. It cut perfectly flat. I'm do a tape measure check on my dimension. I should be 6 inches thick right now. And basically on scale up and down too for 1 inch cuts, I think. Really, really, really close. Let's see if we're 6 inches thick. It's just about right at. So I'm just a little less than 6 right now. I'm like 1/8 of an inch less than 6 there. Let's check this side. That might mean that the height of my band has changed. I'm 1/8 inch light. Yep, so that would mean that the height of my band changed in relation to that. I have to make an adjustment in my my adjustable scale. That's why my things were off. Huh. Showing pretty much 6 on the money there. What am I doing wrong here? I'm pretty much 6 on the money there. It's like I don't know, it's a little. Also, I want to put my best, yeah, it's good. This is the best side down so that my skim cut on the top will be in the right spot. Huh. Showing pretty much 6 on the money here. We checked both sides over here. I'm showing 6 on the money there. My saw head, it almost appears that putting that thing on changed on the 16th off, I think. The 16th off, that side. No, I'm not. I take it back. I'm a 16th. Same, both sides. All right, well, I'll have to keep an eye on that. If the new belts change the position of the band to the bunks, which of course it could. I want to get this to go that way just a little bit. And we're going to want to get these all the way down. Make sure this one's all the way down this time so I don't smash into it like I did the other day. Because our bottom cut is going to be at 1 inch. Okay, it didn't mean you can't. Okay. So we're going to come up on I'm going to do a measurement on this. I'm going to come up and make a line here somewhere, an inch down, see what my scale says I am, measure up and see if that's where that line is cutting before I mow through it. These are a little bit longer than they need to be, so. So check my 1-inch scale. So it would be 2 1/8, 3 1/4, 4 3/8. Just go down to 4 3/8 really quick. Make sure that lines up. Yeah, lines up with the top of the scale, so that's good. Top of my 4 1/4 scale. I'm going to throw our guide in a little bit. I'm going to come up to, it's going to tell us where the top cut needs to be so that our bottom cut comes out 1 inch, which is right there. So this is telling me 15 5/8 right now. I'm going to go ahead and mark it. And I should be 15 5/8 to that mark. And I'm 15 1/2. I'm 15 1/2, so it is off. So I'm going to adjust my adjustable scale down to 15 1/2. I'm just going to pull my oh, 15 1/2 is where I am. Right there. Tighten that down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop myself to my next 4 1/4 line on scale still. That's telling me 14 1/2. We're going to fire it up. We're going to make another mark, and I should be 14 1/2 up. Just make sure this is 14 1/2 up. It's perfect. So now I can come up to my next inch scale, make my top cut. Which is 15 5/8. Right there. And we'll go ahead and cut it off. Next is 14 1/2. That should be 13 3/8. One, 2, 3. 12 1/4. Four. 7 and 8. Three, 4, 5. Next one should be 10 inches exactly. Six. It should be 8 and 7/8. Two, 3, 4, 6, 7. What I'm doing is I'm counting the boards to know and do one extra crank. It should be 7 3/4 ish. There. See if I have clearance here. Yep, just enough. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8. Just gonna pretty much do it for this video. Just gonna pull these boards off. Seems to be cutting really good. The only place that I even saw any deviation, no, it's cutting like a laser beam flat. I'll show you guys and then we'll wrap this video up and just get these boards off. What I'm doing is I'm looking down my cuts to see if there's anything. There's nothing in them. They're perfectly flat. They're absolutely perfectly flat. Sorry if I'm getting off out of frame there. Not sure if I am or not, but absolutely perfectly flat. There's no deviation in them at all. No waves. I'll show you guys before I take this one off to wrap this up. See if I can get a good view down this board. There's no deviation in it. I mean, it's just perfectly flat. There's no waves, even with all the knots. Look at that corner. It's perfect. You can see all the knots in this. Look at all the different textures and knots and everything. To cut that flat and pine, going that fast, that band's running perfect right now. So, I hope that helps. I don't know if I'm going to shoot another video today or not. I probably will when I get that. I'm not sure. I don't know whether if I'm going to shoot a video just to show you me blow a cant down like this. You know, it doesn't really mean anything. I think the information's more important about doing all that. And like I said, I will check the band. I mean the belt, but I'm not getting any clunk in the clutch right now. I'm thinking I might have had the belt too tight. And that's going to be a data point for when we talk to people who have that problem or if anybody brings it up. I think it was belt tension. Now we're going to find out when we get into a real wide log and a real wide cut if that belt's slipping. But right now, I think the setup is perfect. I know that was a lot of setup, and I don't want you guys to get this wrong. This is not an everyday thing with this mill. The only complaint that I've had is that my ceramic guides were ending up out of adjustment, and I was having to adjust them a lot. The good thing is it only takes 2 seconds to do it. My tracking very rarely changes. You know, if I put on 10 bands, I might have to make an adjustment for 1 out of 10. But it looks like I'm real close. I think the entire problem was a belt problem. I think that's what it was. I think it was worn belts. Is there a possibility I had a bad band? Possibility I had a band that didn't stretch right or something? Possibility, but I think it was belts. So I will keep those 2 belts as just backup oh shit belts. It's not a surprise that I had to make big adjustments with brand new belts on there. It's not a surprise that the new belt being thicker and not worn, that changed the height. But right now, I mean, it's cutting like a laser beam. So let's hope it stays that way. And also, I don't know how often you're going to change these things. I mean, if I do a lot of cutting, do I have to change one every month, 2 months, 6 months? I don't know, but I will get extras. I will promise you that. And I'm going to order one of those cables that's starting to fray. I did see something in and for those of you who hung on this long, you know, if you're having problems with your Norwood mill, thanks for hanging on and learning through this with me. Every time I put my mill away, hi, Danny. Hey, look, it's Danny. Hey, look, it's Kate.
Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up. Every time I put the mill away, I clean it, take the band off. I put the mill head all the way down, and I did read in the Norwood manual this morning not to put it down more so that it takes tension off the cables, and I have been doing that. And maybe that's why that cable's fraying. That's actually, it says that's what it will cause. So just to let you know, I'm probably not going to put it all the way down anymore. I'll put it down to inch, but I won't go to like 3/4. And at 3/4, it takes the pressure off the cables. I'm not going to do that anymore. Because exactly the symptom that I'm seeing in that cable fraying is exactly what the manual said could happen if you take the pressure off those cables. Because it said what happens is because they're stretched, when you take the tension off them, they twist. And then when you put the tension back on them, the twisting will cause fraying, and I'm seeing the fraying on one of the cables. So going by what they say, I won't be doing that anymore. So that's going to wrap it up. I appreciate the watch. Hit me up with any questions if you want. I'll keep you guys updated. I may shoot another video today blasting the other can apart. I'm not sure. But as of right now, this Pirate Solutions out.